It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you can make better financial decisions in your life. And I hope one of those decisions has been to subscribe to one or more of our free newsletters at clark.com/newsletter. I want to say something about our newsletters. You find them, not every single person, but most people find our newsletters to be very relevant and things you can act on in your life. How do I know that? Because newsletters that you get by email have what's known as an open rate. And open rates usually are not that high. Even when somebody voluntarily subscribed to a newsletter, we've been fortunate that our open rate is extremely high, like unbelievably high, which means that the information you're getting from us, you're finding to be, even though the newsletter is free, you're finding the information to be priceless. And I love that. Speaking of something that is not priceless, customer no service. It's an expression I coined probably 25 years, 30 years ago. And customer no service goes up and down. And right now I can tell you that new data by one industry source shows that customer no service has collapsed, like absolutely collapsed in the last 2 years. Also, there's something that you can do to stop a crime that's driving people batty. It's tax ID theft. I'm going to explain what it is, what it does to you, and how you may be able to prevent it in almost all cases. So I talk about the American Customer Satisfaction Index that rates different industries every 2 to 3 months, and they end up cycling through a particular industry once a year. But they put out a report every couple of months. And occasionally I'll talk about Forrester Research, and their new data is out. And wow. An unmitigated disaster in the deterioration of customer no service. And now, if you, like so often, this is one that is like 1 to 100 and above a 70 is passing grade. Industries overall in the United States now, for only the second time since Forrester began its research, industries overall have a failing grade in how they're treating us. I mean, industries overall have never been particularly exceptional at customer service, but things have really gone downhill the last couple of years. And I would bet that a lot had to do with what was going on in the job market. I'm going to give companies a bit of a mulligan here, which is unusual for me. If you're a golfer, you know what I mean. That there's been so much velocity of turnover in the job market that the people you talk to at customer no service are so green and so inexperienced now, and they know less about the company or product or service you're calling about than you do so often right now. I mean, it's really bad. And then to try to compensate for the lack of knowledgeable workers, I was talking just yesterday about AI. Now you got these companies that are trying to cover up the problems they have with customer no service by employing these chatbots, which is, I guess, a form of AI. Let's just call them chatbots and voice recognition stuff. And have you ever noticed that you'll start raising your voice and shouting at it if you're on a call, and all you're trying to do is get to a representative? And so I'll try that word, representative, operator. I'll try all these words, see if I can get to somebody, because, I mean, it's just so hard. And companies that want to have an ongoing relationship with customers, I mean, they know that this is where they can really make a difference in the marketplace. And I think of the company that ranks highest, I think year after year in the Forrester thing is Chewy. My wife loves Chewy. She'd marry Chewy if it was a person. You know what Chewy is? If you don't have pets, you don't know what it is. So this is a company Amazon set out years ago to try to demolish, destroy, and because they were really worried about how successful Chewy was getting at selling dog and cat and pet stuff of all different kinds and food and all that. And so they faced an extinction threat from Amazon. And what did they do? They put every effort into and are ranked as the best customer service operation in the country. And so it allowed them to survive against a behemoth. Who's bigger than Amazon? I guess Walmart. I mean, they're giant. And if they put their sights on your market share, it's not a good day for you. But it made Chewy better. And I love competition and how that does. But overall, wow. Customer no service is a thing. It's like, let's see how badly we can treat our customers today. Really?
So
you got an example straight ahead, don't you?
I do. Amit, I hope I'm saying that name right. Sorry.
Maybe Amit?
Amit in California says, I bought a OnePlus 12R smartphone for my wife as a Valentine's Day gift. After a few days, I realized this phone is faulty. We weren't able to hear anything on it. OnePlus's return and replacement policy is only for 15 days, and I wish I knew this before.
And what's the lesson from this? Chocolates?
Yeah.
Or jewelry? Or flowers, right? That would have been easier. It would have worked better.
I called customer service and shipped the phone to them. They took 30 days and shipped it back without fixing the issue. I shipped it again, and they took 20 plus days. Today I got the phone back, but the issue is not fixed. I'm so disappointed with the quality and service, and I spent a lot of time, effort, and money, and I used my Chase Sapphire credit card to buy this phone. Basic functionality is not working for this phone, and OnePlus Repair is not doing anything. Also, they don't have any stores in the U.S. Can you please suggest what I can do? So,
Amit, first of all, this is the only complaint I ever remember about OnePlus. They are an unusual company in the mobile phone business. They used to only introduce and have one phone model at a time. Now they have a variety of phones, and you used to have to get an invitation from them to be able to buy it and all that. And to hear that the phone was bad out of the box and their service after that has been a nightmare, there are a couple of things you should know. You mentioned a key thing, and Chase Sapphire came up the other day too. Mm-hmm. It's such a high market share credit card. They offer you, I think, twice a year, where if you have an item that you're having a problem with like this, Chase will just give you back, I think it's $500 if you're a Chase Sapphire card holder. It's one of their obscure benefits. And if you can't get anything done with OnePlus, see if you're eligible for the Chase Sapphire $500 benefit. I don't know what you paid for the 12R, but it would take you some distance towards getting your money back and eliminating the frustration. The other thing I want you to do is, I talk about the pluses and minuses of filing a Better Business Bureau complaint. File one against OnePlus with the BBB, bbb.org, and let's see if that doesn't get you either your money back for the phone or a true replacement of a new unit for the phone. And I'm really sorry to hear that you're having these problems, because technology reviewers generally love a lot of the OnePlus phones. They're an Android phone for people who are in the iPhone world, and you're like, what am I talking about?
Okay, Brad in Tennessee says, I booked a hotel in Austin, Texas in November 23 for a stay in October of 24 as a flexible and refundable rate where I would pay after I completed my stay. In May of this year, I was reviewing my credit card statement and saw where I was charged the entire amount 5 months prior to my stay without receiving any type of notice or receipt.
What?
I was told by the hotel manager that their VP of sales told them to charge everyone who had a room booked for that weekend, as the Formula One race was there and it was considered a citywide event. After talking on the phone with the manager, I was reluctantly refunded, but once again, I never received a receipt. Is there anyone I can contact about this shady business practice? I've already submitted a complaint on the parent company's corporate website, but I never heard a response. I was told by the hotel manager that there are a lot of people who were in the same boat as me who booked that weekend.
So what's going on here is the hotel chains are no longer policing the business practices of their locations. And that's because the big fight right now is on reflagging hotels. Reflagging means where Marriott goes and poaches for one of its zillion brands a hotel from Hilton or Hyatt or IHG, International Hotel Group, or whoever it is. And you'll notice that there's an increasing number of name changing of who hotels are affiliated with going on across the United States. It's a worldwide phenomenon. So hotels used to have basically standards police that the chains would send out to hotels, usually undercover, and they would then write a report and tell the hotel you had to do this, that, or the other. You know, your lobby's looking really sad, the rooms are moldy, whatever. Now they don't do any of that. All they'd have are salespeople trying to get hotels to move from one chain to another. And so now, even if there's a name on the building, the chains don't do anything. And so when you have a issue like this that's really unacceptable, that it's fine if they tell you, hey, you know, this booking, because of this peak day event, you're going to have to pay fully in advance. And then you can say, okay, I'm not going to stay with you, or okay, go ahead and charge my card. That's fine. But to just do it is absolutely not okay, and there's no cop on the beat anymore, unfortunately. So you did the right thing, voting with your wallet, getting your money back, and going to stay somewhere else, which is what you should do.
Elsie in Wisconsin says, like you, I'm a big believer in cashback credit cards and have followed your advice on card recommendations. I have currently accumulated several $1,000s in rewards. I would like to receive the rewards as cash, but is it a taxable event? If so, is there a more tax-efficient way to receive the rewards?
Tax-free. It is a gimme, and it's like a rebate that's not taxed. That is your money. And what's happened with the big cashback issuers is they have, instead of just periodically sending you your money, they're trying to get you to take that money and use it for other things, where they have entered into alliances with different product manufacturers and retailers. And before you cash it out, if there's somebody you normally shop with all the time, if they'll give you a credit towards that retailer, the online seller, or for merchandise, then grab it. I had a situation like this where I had to make an election. There was a special deal on converting it into money to use at Apple. And my whole family, except me, they're Apple. And so I was able to get 15% extra for the cash by doing that. But otherwise, the easiest is you just get your cash and have a great time with it. Coming up ahead, I want to talk about a problem that has been growing. And that's somebody pretending to be you when they file a tax return, and then it causes messes for you for years. Do you know there's two things you can do that one eliminates the damage and the second eliminates the problem? I'm going to tell you both of those things that you can do straight ahead. So tax ID theft was something that first came on our radar I think about 2015. So about 9 years ago. And it's something that has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And let me tell you what it means. So you go to file your tax return. And generally, overwhelmingly, people file electronically. And your electronic filing is rejected. You can't file. And the reason you can't file is a crook filed a false return as if they were you to generate a refund that they weren't entitled to. And billions of dollars are being stolen from us collectively because of tax ID theft. Well, one of the real problems here is that if somebody's done that, let's talk about you and your situation. A lot of people do withholdings at a place of work as a method of forced savings. So you'll have extra money withheld in federal tax every pay period, so that then when you file your return the following year, you then get a decent refund that you then can pay bills, pay expenses, take a trip, whatever. And so it's the forced savings that you know yourself you have a hard time getting done. All right, so let me tell you what happens now. So for years I've said that you will be without that refund if there's been a tax ID theft and you can't file. That will last 10 to 14 months before you can get that money that's your money that you already paid in. Well, I saw in the New York Times recently that that time has stretched. There's so much tax ID theft going on that that time window has stretched to now 2 years. Average of 2 years that you're waiting for your refund. Can you imagine? You had that extra money pulled out that you had intentions to use when you filed your return. And so let's say somebody files a false one for you for 24 next year. And you're not going to see that money till 27? Wow. So let's deal with that first. And then we'll go to the root of how you can solve this. If you've been using excess withholding as a way of forcing savings, I want you to take your withholding down to what it should be and you to end up about neutral, maybe owing the IRS a little bit of money next year, or them owing you just a little bit of money next year for this year, and reduce that withholding, and then set up as part of your payroll a deduction where the money goes directly into an online savings account with one of the online banks. Right now you'll earn 5% more or less. And where the IRS isn't paying you anything on that excess withholding. And then that money's in your hands in that savings account. And then the deal you make with yourself is you don't use that money until you have done your tax return, and then you use that money. So you have the same benefit, but it's better. You don't have to worry waiting 2 more years to get it if somebody does tax ID theft. But there's an even better thing. You can set up with the IRS something that I talked about years ago that was experimental only, then was only available to taxpayers in Florida and Georgia, and now the IRS has it working like they want. It's available all over the country. You can request a taxpayer PIN. If you just go to irs.gov and you put in their search box taxpayer PIN, you can set this up, and every year you are issued a unique code that changes every year that must accompany your electronic filing of your return. The criminal won't have that number, and it prevents the criminal from filing a return as if they're you, unless at some point criminals figure out how to defeat the IRS PIN system. But for now, it will secure your return and prevent tax ID theft. Prevention is the best cure, obviously, And so doing these two things will eliminate most of the potential harm from tax ID theft. Christa?
Okay, let's start with Rebecca in Alabama. She says, are real estate people exempt from honoring the National Do Not Call list?
They are not.
Our phone numbers and my mother's are on that list, but we and my mother, who lives in another state, are getting phone calls wanting to buy our house in yet another state. We do not know how they got my mother's number. She is in her 80s. Is there any recourse?
So, Rebecca, there are all these Dare to Be Rich seminars going on around the country for people who are being pitched how they can make big money in real estate by identifying second homes or third homes that individuals own, usually free and clear, and offering them cash to buy their home. So people who are doing this are micro entrepreneurs. They've been to the seminar, they're trying to dare to be rich, buying these properties, and they're not paying any attention to anything like a do not call list. And so this is one of those reasons why I say, if you don't know who's calling you, you don't answer your phone, period. If it's your cell phone, home phone, if you don't know who it is on that caller ID, that call goes to voicemail.
All right, Elaine in Maryland says, after a heavy overnight rain last December, I awoke to find that my 2014 Honda Accord windows and sunroof were open, and the inside of the car was soaked. We always lock the car when not in use, and there is no way I left the windows and sunroof open the day before. It was a complete mystery. Thankfully, I got the car dried out and the engine started okay. About 2 months later, my husband and I were standing outdoors beside the locked car when the engine suddenly started completely on its own. My remote was in my hand, but I did not press any buttons. My mechanic has no explanation. Google tells me that the problem is rolling PWN, which is like when someone drives by and we've talked about that.
Right.
But the information is not very helpful. Is someone driving by my house with a secret device trying to steal my car, or at best simply playing tricks? I just ordered 2 of the key fob protective holders you recommended, 2 for $9 on Amazon. Is there anything else I can do? I love this car and I don't want to lose it.
So as you pointed out, there are articles about the vulnerability specifically with Honda products. And I didn't call out Honda when I did this on the podcast or on TV because I didn't want people to think if you had another brand of vehicle with a fob that you were automatically safe, and this is just a Honda problem. No, there have been vulnerabilities that security experts have shown with key fobs with a number of different brands. And I'm guessing somebody thinks they're being cute here because otherwise they've got the ability to just steal your car, and instead they're doing mischief to your car. And so know that these key fob protectors, it's kind of like having an RFID wallet, and having it is a good idea. And know you're doing the right things, and maybe at some point the mystery will be demystified. And there's nothing I've seen that Honda vehicles are mysteriously rolling windows up and down just magically or anything like that. So I'm guessing somebody has duplicated the key fob.
Amy in North Carolina says, I'm a media coordinator library teacher. We are being encouraged to use AI, as you just talked about recently. Some of this is using voice recognition. We are signed in through our Google accounts. Should teachers worry about voice cloning?
So voice cloning is something that all of us should be worried about. And I want to tell you, I didn't even talk about this when I talked about AI the other day. So we talked about AI. One of the evil uses of it is to clone somebody's voice and then use that voice to either pretend that someone's a grandson's in trouble with the law or something like that, or relatives in the hospital and need money, whatever. And the other thing that came up was somebody using your voice as, at Vanguard, my voice is my password. See, I just said it. Somebody can take it and try to get in my account, right? You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No, I mean.
No. So anyway, I read just the other day in the Financial Times that banks and brokerages are so freaked by the possibility that people will use the voice ID system against you and the brokerage house or bank. And they're really interested, the crooks are really interested in brokerage accounts because banks, truth be told, hold a very tiny percent of the nation's assets now. It's almost all brokerages. Anyway, so now they're using AI, supposedly, at the brokerages to identify that the pattern is too perfect, and then they don't trust the voice recognition, and they go through extra steps to try to verify who you are. So we have, I mean, the real problem we have is that people we do business with our money don't know their customers anymore. You know, we've got these big national or international enterprises in banking and finance who are dealing with millions and millions of customers. And so everybody's trying to figure out what's the safest way to do it. For you as a teacher, I don't think there's any risk beyond what any of the rest of us face. But it is a risk both for us and obviously the banking and financial industries.
Yeah, I'm not using any of those password options on anything financial ever. The vocal ones, I'm not doing that.
You don't want to say it.
No, I'll use my
blah,
biometrics.
blah, blah.
I'll use my biometrics, but that's it. Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like you really can't help it if your school's implementing it for the library. I mean, yeah.
And any new technology always has the unexpected downsides and the unexpected upsides. This one is one that obviously has both ease of use and verification, but then the evildoers using that very system against us.
But 2 or 3 factor authentication, right, is our best defense against anything.
So 3-factor authentication, we've not really talked much about that. You'll hear more about 3-factor authentication over the next year. You'll see it come from you, particularly if you have a larger account with a bank or brokerage. They're going to probably send you something wanting you to adopt 3-factor authentication. I'm not even going to get into it right now because there are various methods that financial institutions are going to try to use to fight off the impersonators, and it's not even clear exactly how the 3-factor will work, but my goodness, it's just too bad that we do live in a world that the people we do business with don't really know us.
Mm-hmm.
Christa.
We did it again.
We did it again. Oops, we did it again.
Oops, I did.
Yeah. Give us a positive thought.
You know what? We get to do this. We are so lucky to be here doing what we're doing today. And I'm grateful to all the listeners out there. And we're just trying to help protect each other.
And I want to say something to you as well. So a lot of the things you hear us talk about are things where people intend us harm, right? A lot of the things people are asking us about is because somebody took advantage of you. And so you start to think that people are just up to no good. Most people are fine, decent people. And it's just part of our job to make sure you know the ways that people might misbehave.
True.
So that you can protect yourself.
It can make you paranoid. By the way, we get to do this. I just find, my favorite yoga sculpt teacher, Jana, is such an inspiration. And almost every class during the hardest part, she says, smile, we get to do this. We get to be here moving our bodies right now. And I love that.
So should we do some yoga right now?
When you're at work, when you're doing something, just remember, we get to do this. We're able-bodied and life is good. Is that too Pollyanna?
No, that's fine.
I love you, Jana.
And tomorrow, we're going to have more advice for your wallet. And I thank you so much for trusting us. And I hope that every time you listen or watch, if you watch our YouTube show or listen to our podcast, that there's something you're getting out of this that you're able to act on in your own life, or that you store it away and this point, oh, that's right. That's how I do this. Or don't do that. And that's the idea, is to give you information that doesn't overwhelm you, but information that empowers you so that you can save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. And we'll see you tomorrow.